Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro joining us on the desk this week for a quick little chat about his journey through Q School onto the PGA Tour and beyond. Mickey DeMorat. Mickey, thank you for joining us here in the first half of the show. I want to remind you all, of course, the show is brought to you by Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the industry. Founded on Long Island, rep by some of the biggest personalities in the sport, Chris Hogan, Kyle Harrison, John Jay, and, of course, golf's very own Paige Sporanic. Tomahawk Shades guaranteed to keep you looking fresh from the first hole to the 18th green. Go to tomahawkshades.com, or you can download their trusty little app on the App Store, Google Play Store, and browse a selection of sunglasses, blue light plus glasses, and prescription lenses. And be sure to use code USP for 25% off your next order. Mickey, thank you so much for joining in, man. This is really a great time, a great opportunity to get to know you, get to learn more about your journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump in deep, and let's get going.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. I been playing with Ben a little bit on the mini tours. That's how I got to know him the last couple of years in Florida, and been trying to work my way back through the Q School. I played college golf at Liberty University. I played junior college golf my freshman year, and then transferred to Liberty, and then graduated there 2018, and got some status on the Korn Ferry Tour for 2020 and 21, but didn't have any status the last couple of years. So, I had to work on some things in my game, and just been living down here in Florida, playing different mini tours and traveling around to some Monday qualifiers, and fortunate to get through the first and second stage of Q School to have some status on the Korn Ferry for the coming season. So I'm really excited to have a chance to get back out there and see if things I've been working on can, serve me well out there this season.
Yeah, Ben mentioned you have a lengthy resume on the Moonlight Tour, 27-time winner. You shot 59 at some point this year. For those of you who don't know, Mickey, of course, made the 2018 U.S. Open cut at Shinnecock. If you probably remember him more for the fact that his uncle Daniel Tosh was touting him up and basically shitting on everybody else for what was going on. There was a interaction with him and your caddy, I think it was, on Twitter. It was a fun little thing. And of course, you're now on to final stage for Q School. I believe it's going to be next week, right? I believe next weekend at TBC's Autographs. Yeah,
next Thursday. So gonna go up there, get some work in Monday through Wednesday, and it's gonna be nice just to have some status in actually the top 5 playing for the PGA Tour cars now. So you can actually go straight to the big tour for the first time in a while and through the Q School this year. So yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully I can get out there and get some more tweets from Uncle Daniel. That was cool. Him giving me a little bit of love on there, and he's giving me a little bit of flack for hitting the wrong ball at the U.S. Open. One time I got a 2-shot penalty for that. So, but he blamed the ball spotter for giving me a bad spot there. But hopefully it doesn't happen anymore out there.
So, Mickey, one of the things you said was you had some things because you had played on the Korn Ferry Tour a couple of years ago. I believe it was during when COVID had kind of complicated things. You had mentioned there were some things you had wanted to work on. Would you mind diving in to some of those things and maybe specifying, was it more physical than mental or physical? What were some of the specifics?
Yeah, I think when I first got through Q School that year, I played really well at second stage and final stage, and I kind of was cruising through, playing well, and I started out the year. I had the lead actually through 36 holes in the second event of the year in the Bahamas, and had the lead by like 3 or 4 shots halfway through the third round, and I was playing really aggressive, hitting a bunch of drivers. I mean, I was kind of just rolling with it, making a bunch of putts. Nothing was really going wrong, and then made one big number, and after that, I didn't really do anything well. After that, I kind of just mentally got really frustrated, got out of it, wasn't really thinking my way through the tournament. It was kind of all or nothing mentality. And I lost a little bit of confidence after that, and I struggled, for the rest of the year. Really, I didn't really get in any kind of rhythm, didn't play my best, went through trying to change some things in my swing, didn't really have a clear plan for what I was trying to accomplish each week, Monday through Sunday. It's a long week, and I was kind of going out there playing a few practice rounds, not really having a clear plan of what I was trying to do week to week. And so going back, a lot of what I've improved upon, especially going through Q school this year, was the mental side of the game. At first stage, I started out really bad this year. I was playing at Champions Gate in Orlando, and I started out 3 over par through my first 9 holes. Wasn't really making anything, but just having that patience, knowing like, okay, all you can control is your routine, your process, trusting, a few technical things I worked on my swing to straighten out I was playing a big hook on the tour back in a couple of years back, so I straightened out a few things and really just let the patience kind of get me through the week. And especially under the gun when you're trying to get through those last 9 holes, when you have to make a few birdies to get through, not trying to force things to happen, just hitting solid shots and giving yourself that chance for when a few putts can go to get you through the finish line. And so I think that's been a big improvement, and just having a little bit of better course management, picking the right shots, knowing that you don't have to birdie every hole out there. You don't have to fire at every single flag, but hitting the right target, middle of the green sometimes is good, and giving yourself a chance to make birdie. So I think I've just improved a couple aspects on that side of the game. And hopefully, it doesn't matter where you're playing on the mini tours or on the Korn Ferry PGA Tour, pressure situations, if they work one place, they're going to continue to work at the next. So hopefully that'll just serve me well.
We've talked about it extensively, at least with Ben's career arc, and I want to talk about this more with the fact that Q school is such a grind, and obviously Ben unfortunately didn't make it past first stage. We know the injury history and so on. But looking at you working through the last 2 or 3 months to get to where you are, how much of a grind is it really on Q school? You have a couple of weeks, 3 weeks in between every event, but you literally need to play your best for 3 straight months, and it's quite a tall ask. What have you learned? What's been the biggest challenge over the last few months for you trying to get to where you are now? And even if there's an issue that might carry into next week, God forbid, is there anything that's on your mind about it?
Yeah, it's just a long week, mentally, because you're thinking about it leading up to the week, and then once you get there, you're doing your practice rounds. You just kind of want to get going. And at first stage, I was kind of on the edge the whole way. I started out slow the first round, then kind of got myself back into it. I still was 3 or 4 out of it going in the last 9 holes. And, fortunate to kind of, when I got it down, I was almost in the mentality of like, all right, I got to make something happen here. It's almost like I didn't have anything to protect. So that almost helped me, in the end, make a few birdies because I was just playing free. When I play free, I feel like, I can play well. When you're trying to hold on to something, protect something, and not make mistakes, that's when I got a little uptight. Because the year before, last year, I missed out by 1 shot at second stage because I was almost near the lead, and I made 1 bad swing, and then I tried to hold on to the lead instead of playing free. And so second stage this year, I started out well, and I was inside the whole time, but I still had the mentality of like, all right, just go out and try to play good golf. Because if, it is such a mental grind of like, if you're just trying to get done with it and just trying to get in the house and somehow keep yourself in that top 15, it's going to slip away. You have to go out there and try to just play your best golf and let the results take care of themselves.
That's fascinating to me. Like, it's interesting to hear because I've watched you from the time. I remember, I think the first time we had played, I think you had maybe just lost your card. It was like some point like January or February. And like, obviously, like I saw like the physical talent, like everything with you has always been so natural. If anybody doesn't follow you on Instagram, they need to, because I think your swing is one of the most fluid I've seen in professional golf. I mean, it's just like, to me, it's like not a whole lot can go wrong, but it's to see your development kind of upstairs and how you've had to change your mentality and understand that kind of just keeping it a little bit more simple and not being so scared and just kind of really doing what you train, understand this is like what you train for, and just kind of embracing it. You know, when you say, "Oh, just trying to get done with it," that's not really the right mindset to have. You know,
No.
you need to say, "No, I'm gonna do this, and whatever
Yeah.
you know, whatever happens ends up happening, but I'm gonna leave it all on the course." Kind of shifting away from this topic, I wanted to know, what was it? So when you played in the U.S. Open, you had turned professional, correct?
Yes, that was my first tournament as a professional. I qualified as an amateur, and then I turned pro for the event. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Daunting right there.
What was?
Yeah.
I was there. I was
Were you?
there. I was watching.
Yeah. That was my first
What was
actual
that
pro event. Yeah, man, it was. I mean, honestly, I didn't really know. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I kind of got there and I didn't know, like, I just used to playing college events. So, you know, seeing all these big name guys used to watch it on TV, I was like kind of just in shock. And I got really lucky. On Tuesday, I got to play a practice round because on the there's no practice round tee times. You kind of just show up and whatever, but you can kind of request when you want to go out. And on the app, they had like a tee times of when people were scheduled to tee off on Tuesday night. I saw Patrick Reed was playing by himself. And so I called the lady. I was like, "Hey, can I play at this time?" Like, and I was like, "I want to play at 112." And Patrick Reed was scheduled to play at 112. And so I showed up to the first tee and he had just teed off. Hao Tong Lee from China had just teed off. I was like, "Hey, can I join you guys?" He was super cool. He's like, "Of course," you know, and I hit my shot. It was like just an iron off the first tee. And then Jordan Spieth walked up last minute and was like, "I'm going to play with you guys like 9 holes real quick." And he teed off. So I got to play 9 with Jordan Spieth and Patrick Reed like on the Tuesday. And so that was, you know, probably the most people I had watching me all week right there. So that was pretty cool just to be with those guys, a couple major champions. Patrick Reed had won the Masters the year before. And man, like just kind of getting some of the nerves out of the way playing with those guys. Cause after that, you know, it was just kind of a little bit easier to get through that pressure. So it was fun, man. I mean, I played well the first 2 days to get through the cut and then struggled a little bit Saturday afternoon, but the greens got really firm and fast. But just to be there on the weekend and get to experience that, you know, gave me a lot of confidence moving forward. But, you know, I've had to learn some things. You know, I probably thought I was going to get out there quicker than it's taken me. I mean, I'm, you know, fifth going on 6 years as a pro now and still trying to, you know, get out there full time. But, you know, sometimes it's a process. I mean, you see guys still like in their 30s getting on the tour for the first time. And sometimes golf is one of those sports that, you know, it takes a little bit of time mentally to develop some of the maturity and just making the right decisions. And I mean, I think, you know, it's about making small improvements over the course of time and a little bit technically, mentally, and all that. You know, when you get out week to week on the tour, knowing kind of how to handle the schedule and, you know, just going into final stage this year, I hope I can use the things I've learned to, you know, when you get there and you got all the opportunities of the tour trucks and you got the player dining, all the food, it's like you want to do everything. And it's almost, you have to take a look back and say, all right, you know, I got to do the same things that I've done that's got me here, you know, do the same workouts, the same routine. You don't have to sit on there and beat balls for 3 hours a day because they got Pro Vs, you know, you want to get your work in and then get off the course. So I just hope, you know, some of that experience will help me when I get there.
What's the mental right now going into a course like Sawgrass? Of course, you played big time courses in the past, but the idea that you got to lay it all out now for 4 straight days, give it your absolute best. And like you said, not make it almost like a field trip. I feel like you kind of get a little overwhelmed by all of the caveats that come with the hospitality of being like a PGA Tour pro, particularly playing in a situation like this. What are you doing to prepare to keep your mental game in the same place and just focus in on the ultimate goal?
Yeah, this year, I mean, it's almost like getting through second stage was such a relief for me because I was so close to, like, I thought I had blown it the last 9 holes, but I made a couple birdies in the last 3 to get through by 1. So honestly, like, I'm thinking like top 5 gets the PGA Tour and the rest we have Korn Ferry status. So it's not really trying to play, you know, to save anything. It's really going out to just try to play good golf. And I should get in some Korn Ferry events if you play solid. So that's my mentality, is like to go out there. And I've had these experience playing these courses in college. We played them in college and events, and being in Florida, growing up here, I know how to, handle the Bermuda grass that both those courses are. So I think just kind of having that home field advantage will be nice. I'm gonna have my caddy and my coach up there with me for the practice rounds, just to kind of make sure I'm sticking with the same thing we've been working on, not having to change anything. We've been working on simple setup changes to change the ball flight from a draw to a fade. So having him out there with me, walking the course for practice rounds, that's going to be a huge help, because he's going to be able to tell me, look, there's nothing different just because you're out here playing against, these guys that have been on the PGA Tour and playing for your tour card. It's just the same as if you were back playing, a mini tour event or at home with your buddies in a skins game. You're still working on the same things, hitting the same shots. So just almost simplifying that in your mind, not thinking about it as like, oh, I have a chance to get to the PGA Tour, I have to play amazing, I have to do anything different. You don't have to do anything different. What's worked in the past to get you to this point is going to continue to work. And I think in the past I was in that mindset of have to change some things. I have to change equipment. I want to try, it's like you don't have to actually do anything that hasn't been in your same process up to this point.
Wow. We're definitely going to have you on again. So
yeah.
If you want to come on, you're always welcome. One of the things that's always blown me away about you is your ability to shoot really low rounds. I mean, Steve alluded to it earlier. You shot 59 in early September this year in a moonlight event. I mean, I've seen you shoot 63s and 64, 65, like with your eyes closed. But is there, I guess what I'm asking is there any type of advice you would want to give to somebody who's trying to take that next step and shoot those really low rounds? Like, because I think, and I'm guilty of this, you get 6-7 under par, and similar to what to before, you almost try to protect it and you try to play safe. And then when you try to play safe, you actually start to back up. And then you end up shooting 3 under instead of potentially getting it to 8 or 9. What are some tips you could give to anyone who's trying to get more comfortable shooting lower scores?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've had to learn myself. Like I was saying before, it's almost like when you're going out at home with just some buddies and you're playing like a skins game, and you're not really worried about your score, what you're shooting. You're just going out, hey, I'm just going to go try to make some birdies. I'm going to try to make some putts. I don't really care if I hit, a ball in the water or out of bounds or whatever. I'm just going to go play and try to make as many as I can. Like, if you weren't even thinking about what you're shooting and you're just going out and trying to hit the right shots, like let's say you're playing a little skins game with your buddies at home, and you got like one swing thought you're thinking about, like, all right, I'm going to try to get my takeaway, one piece going back, or whatever simple it is. That's my only goal. That's all I'm trying to do. Whether or not you make a few birdies, you get to 5, 6, you're not worried about like, oh, I'm just going to try to protect my score. The only thing I'm trying to do is going out and execute what my goal is for that day. So like if I'm playing a mini tour or a moonlight or a minor league, I'm going out with like, all right, this is what I'm trying to work on today. Like I'm trying to hit like a little draw that doesn't cross the target line. And so I'm not, if I'm playing great, making a bunch of birdies, like that's great. But if I'm sitting on the tee like 7, 8 under par on a par 3, my goal is still to like start it 15 feet right of the hole and just make it work a little bit left of the target. And if it does that, great. If I give myself a putt at birdie, great, it might go in. So I'm not going to be sitting on the tee thinking, oh, I really don't want to hit this one out of bounds, or I'm 6 under, hope I can get this one in the fairway. Like that's hoping. That's like making a wishful swing instead of like thinking, all right, this is my fairway, this is my start line, this is where I want to finish it, and this is the swing I'm going to make, and this is the feel I'm going to have to get it there. And so that takes you in a completely different mindset of like just trying to like, oh man, I hope I can make a birdie here. It's like the birdies will come if you execute, your plan and your process, and you accomplish what you're trying to do. Damn, so that's just something that I've been thinking about, because like, and even if it's not a mini tour, even if it's a big tour event, I mean, I'm into the RSM Classic and shot a low first round there. And I was, in that same Monday qualifier mentality of like, all right, it doesn't really matter if the Monday qualifier, if you shoot even par, it doesn't matter. You're not getting through. So it's like, you got to go out to play good. So I'm going to go out and try to, hit these shots. And if I make these birdies, great. And I carried that into the first round and, keep the same feel going. Like your mentality that gets you to 6 under par is the same mentality that's going to get you from 6 under to 9 under. Like you don't want to change. And the same feel, like if you start off a day with a certain mentality of what you're trying to hit, that gets you to 5, 6 under par. Keep that same mentality. All right. It doesn't matter. You don't have to try to change your swing or anything, or your mentality is still to produce the same feel that you've been doing up to that point. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does.
I mean, that makes total sense. I'm just letting you know when I'm back and ready to and able to play, you and I are going to be playing a lot because I think I have a lot to learn.
Yeah. I'm still learning. I'm still learning too, but that's just something that's helped me.
No, that's all great stuff. Those are all like the immediate questions I have before the actual script stuff. Steve, what?
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of just jump into to the news around golf. Again, Ben and I talk so much about the news and every event that's going on, and of course, this is the first time in basically ever, I guess you could say, that the PGA Tour is like front page news every single week, and it's now becoming more in more ways than one. Not just the fact that there's a whole separate golf league that's trying to erupt, on top of so many other things. I want to lead off with the golf ball rollback, because this is obviously a heated conversation between Ben and I. But what do I know? I'm just the average Joe. It's kind of a two-pronged question here. I've made the argument that while it obviously affects the whole entirety of the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour and those that are involved, I think it also hurts the average Joe players who, at the end of the day, just want to hit it as far as they can to try and maximize their score, whatever they can do. Minimize their score for that matter. Where do you stand on the rollback? Do you believe it's a good thing? Do you think there are other ways it could have been avoided in terms of course management, course building, however it may be? Where do you kind of stand on the rollback?
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at the tournaments that have the highest scores, on the tour, and it's like it's not the longest courses always, because I mean, they make these courses so long, they stretch them out. But even if a par 4 is 480, guys are still hitting driver, flip wedges in there sometimes, cutting the corners. So the way the courses that really challenge the guys is when they lose control of like what the ball does, like spin control. So like having the greens firm with some pretty thick rough. Like if you guys aren't able to hit it straight, it doesn't matter how far you hit it. If you get in the rough, to a firm green, to a tucked pin 6 feet off the edge, 30, 40 feet is going to be a really good shot. So I think it's different. Like on the European Tour, it seems like the courses are more catered towards keeping the ball straight. And I think that you see that in the Ryder Cup, the way they set up the golf courses, is more premium on getting the ball in the fairway to protect, the scores. And a lot of the American guys, I mean, especially on the Korn Ferry Tour, a lot of the courses I think are more about bombing it as far as you possibly can, and you're hitting wedge. I'd rather be hitting a wedge from the rough than a 7-iron from the fairway, which, that's just the way that they're set up on the PGA Tour these days. People really want to see guys hitting the ball long ways, and you see Bryson hitting it over the pond, and that's kind of what seems to bring the fans, to watching the game and part of the excitement. But as far as protecting, like they don't want to see 25 under par every week, and I get that, but I think there's other ways that you could probably get the scores to be up, besides just rolling the ball back.
I think we just lost Ben for a hot second. We'll find him in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any sentiment to the idea that golf courses are running out of property, which is why they're starting to look towards this? I mean, Tiger Woods has agreed with the idea of the rollback. He says that Rory said that bifurcation's already kind of happened on tour, whether you like it or not, in terms of the way that just the longer hitters and the 1%ers are obviously hitting it so much further than everyone else. And club manufacturers aren't going to change their ways. They've been staunchly against it. So the only other option really was to roll the ball back. Do you think that the better option would have been just simply make the conditions harder, because obviously, again, they're running out of property. They aren't able to extend courses significantly, or also in the case of, like, say, Augusta National, where they recently had to make a change to the course to the point that the golf course basically looks so different now that it's 200, 300 yards longer. Do you think one of the factors here is the fact that they're running out of property and they needed to find a way to appease the golf club manufacturers, but also not create a wild stir amongst the masses?
I think that's a good point. And you don't want to change courses like Augusta National to be wildly different than what the original design was. I mean, some of the greatest golf courses around the world are under 6,500 yards. Old Donald Ross courses with the small undulating greens. The tree line, country club, fairways. The game used to be about shaping shots off the tee, controlling it. The blot of balls used to curve a ton. You could cut them, hook them, so they would spin like crazy. And the new golf ball just really doesn't really curve that much. It stays pretty straight and it just goes a mile. And so you can't really have any tournaments on these old school golf courses. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays in a tournament situation. I mean, if it's a minimal amount of distance that you're losing, it could be fine. I just think the average person playing the game might struggle a little bit. But I think the way the golf courses used to be set up was just firm conditions. You could run the ball up onto the green, and even if the people are hitting the shoulder, if they're getting more rollout with these firmer fairways, they're going to be hitting less club into the greens. They're going to be able to run shots up. Like, I think that's how the game was kind of supposed to be played, not just soft flying the ball 350 off the tee and spinning it back on the greens. That's kind of the new way the game is played. So rollback could be good to bring some of that old school, type of golf back into play, where guys can, use the ground game a little more and just chase the ball down the fairway.
Ben?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with everything that Mickey said. I mean, I think my personal opinion, I didn't love it, as I so eloquently, if I don't even know if that's a word, eloquent word. Look, I didn't pay attention.
Eloquently.
Okay.
Eloquently, finance major. It's okay.
Took me 4.5 fucking years to graduate. Okay. No, I mean, I think that there could be good and bad to it. I think that there are certain major courses. The good part, I will say, the good thing, depending on how much distance guys will lose, we could bring some older major championship style venues back, like a Marion, like where I think it's only like 6,800 yards, and guys really just like the fear for a long time was guys would just bomb it and gouge it and make a bunch of birdies. Now, when the Open was there in 2017, 2013, that really wasn't the case. I think only one guy finished under par. But I think a lot of those older courses that have hosted major venues that haven't for a long time might come into the fray. I think what should have been done differently was they could have made this decision 5 to 10 years ago, so we wouldn't have gotten to this point. It's like all of a sudden you guys are hitting it too far. Like, it hasn't been a secret. It's just been it's not rocket science. When equipment improves, guys are going to hit the ball further and play better. We're not playing with persimmon heads anymore. We're not playing with like butter knife irons anymore. I mean, some guys are, I guess, but like aren't. I think that they were a little bit late to the party, to say the least. And I do worry that with pro golf kind of being the shit show that it is with the PGA Tour and LIV and what's going to happen, that this could maybe make golf less interesting, because I think one of the draws is guys bombing it, say 325 or 350, because they enjoy that, just like they enjoy like LeBron doing a windmill dunk. That just never gets old, like that pure athleticism. And I don't think golf right now can afford to be boring because so many stars have defected from the PGA Tour to LIV. No one really knows what's going to go on between the PGA Tour and LIV. That's one of my concerns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the argument here is that, and as Mickey alluded to, the idea that the firmer fairways are going to at least allow for similar run out, which they're only saying you're going to lose about 15, 20 yards per. So, yes,
are you kidding me? That's a ton.
No, I'm aware of that, and yes, it's going to affect you one or two more club lengths per hole. But at the end of the day, we have guys that are hitting a gap wedge into the green, not even a pitching wedge, like a 56 into the greens. You're only going to be moving so slightly, where it really only affects, when you think about it, the scoreability of holes on par fives is what they're claiming. It's going to make par fives less gettable because you're now required to go more of a wood or some sort of a super low iron, as opposed to what guys are hitting now, like 7 irons. I think it was at the country club and at the U.S. Open, there was like a 650-yard par 5, and they were hitting like woods into it. They were like, "This is what we want now from the tour." But Mickey, I'll redirect this back. Do you think though that the rollback, it's going to occur now in 2028? Do you think it's going to hurt the pros more, or it's going to hurt the average guys like me, that now we have to kind of, because let's be honest, the manufacturers aren't going to change and create multiple golf balls for the tour pros versus the average Joes. Do you think it's going to affect me more or someone like you?
Well, the thing is, like the USGA, they know distance is a problem, but they set up US Open courses like with par 4s that are 550, 650 par 5s, and it's like, of course, guys are going to find the way to hit the ball as long as possible because you know what all the data says. The closer you get the ball to the green, even if it's in the rough, like the better chance you got to score. I mean, guys are always going for the green. They're always trying to hit the least amount of club possible into the green. So you know they're going to find a way to smash the ball. So I think a lot of the score, like you look at all the best players on the tour, you know, they're always the best drivers of the ball. You know, you can look at putting, and there's sure great putters always up there, but it's usually the guys that are, you know, hitting the ball the best off the tee that are giving themselves the best chance to score. You know, look at Roy McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm. Like, you can say drive for show, putt for dough, but if you hit the ball 320 down the pipe every time, like think about how many wedge chances. Like Rory McIlroy is not like, I mean, there's better wedge players out there than him, but you know, he can hit a wedge to a 460-yard par 4. He's flipping a wedge to 15 feet. He might make a few of those. He's getting to the par 5s with a 7-iron. You know, he's getting those. So if you take that away, I mean, that's going to even out the pro game a lot. That's going to take away a lot of guys what their strength of their game is, I think. You know, because if you're having guys are having to rely more on their wedge game to score in par 5s, and they're going to have to rely on their more mid-iron game to score in par 4s, that's going to take away from some of the bombers, I think, and maybe even out the field a little bit to where, you know, a more accuracy type, you know, short, old school type, the Zach Johnson player can compete. So I think that's where you're going to see the biggest change. I mean, for the average guy, I don't think it's going to make as big of a difference, honestly, because, you know, for the guy shooting 80, he's probably still going to be about the same spot on a par 4 and 2, even if he's hitting an extra club. You know, he's probably still going to hit that about the same on average in par 3s, and probably not getting as many par 5s into to begin with.
This kind of, I'm sure, like I just had an aha moment. This is kind of fuck off.
Get the punches in when you can, because they make a whole world of difference.
Man, I'm telling you what, Mickey. If we weren't recording right now, I would just say this shithead. All right. Anyway, no, but as I was saying, Mickey, were you on Korn Ferry when they kind of like banned like the Strakaline books and they made like the whole change to the green reading materials? Were you on tour for that?
Yeah, that was like right in the middle of it.
Okay, this kind of reminds me of that in a way, because, and I was explaining this to Steven over text, we were talking about how Morikawa got He got assessed like a 2-stroke penalty or something because his caddy put something in the book, which from like a level on a putting green or whatever. I think that's what it was. But I was saying, like, one of the reasons why they wanted to do away with those giant green reading books was because they felt it was taking away like the art of putting, that there wasn't much skill. It was just kind of, you already had the answers to the test in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying I agree with it, but I personally prefer it. But anyway, like, so they felt the skill of putting was being taken away. Well, it almost sounds like they're trying to bring skill back into golf, which is, let's be honest, like, bombing it, that's not really much of a skill. I view that more as just like a natural gift because not everyone can bomb it. But forcing guys to be really good throughout or forcing them to be really good with their wedges and not just being hit it over trees or hit it over houses and cut corners or whatever, that's a lot of skill. That takes a lot of skill because it's forcing you to score how they used to have score 10 to 15 years ago. And so I guess what I'm saying is I think they're also attempting to bring more skill back so that it's not just such pure talent. Obviously, yes, there is some element of skill to shoot 65 when you're hitting at 330, obviously. But it also takes a lot of skill to shoot 65 when you hit it, I don't know, 290, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys agree with me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way the drivers are built now, I mean, they're like, you can hit one off the heel and with the ball in the head, it's still going to fly, 290 and not really curve a whole lot. So, like,
Yeah.
guys figured out that, like, okay, hitting it really far is going to make the game a lot easier. So I'm going to you see the guys getting in the gym a lot more, like working on getting really explosive. And I mean, that takes some work for sure, but like some guys do have that natural ability to just create massive speed. And the ball, and they can figure out, like, hey, if I can swing as hard as I can and start the ball pretty straight, it's not going to curve that much with the technology. So, if you're hitting a wedge into a par 4, you're going to hit one a lot closer than some guy that's trying to carve a 7-iron, to a back right flag. Hit that close is really that you don't hit that many 7-irons to 6 feet, for a tucked pin. Let's be honest. So that is that's like the old school game, like Hogan and Trevino. That's what those guys were all about, man. Just ball striking and just hitting the ball out of the middle of the face and learning how to control that ball. And, that was just grinding out hours and hours on the range. And you see guys more putting in time in the gym than on the range sometimes because they know, like, just getting the ball out there as far as possible is what the game is about. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see see what happens. I mean, whether it be good or bad, I can't really say for sure. Well, I guess time will tell.
To shift gears a little bit from the rollback onto another pressing topic in the golf world, of course, the PGA and LIV merger has kind of been on the forefront of everyone's mind, and I find it interesting for someone from your perspective trying to make your way onto the Korn Ferry Tour, possibly with a chance again to make the PGA Tour next week. With all this happening between the PGA and LIV, from the inception of LIV to the players defecting, and of course we've seen guys, even former U.S. AMs, guys who don't even have PGA Tour experience, jump over to the LIV side because, of course, the life-changing money that's involved and the opportunity to do something that's a little bit different and to, again, have financial security. Where have you stood over the last few years and ever thinking about going? Of course, now they have the LIV qualifying and promo events. Have you ever considered anything like that before? And where do you stand on the current outlook of the merger, if it even will happen, if there is a further schism that's being developed between the PGA and the LIV Tour? Where do you fall in there?
Well, look, I think I'll say whatever anyone's views on it are. I believe that it's actually going to be really good for the professional game in general. I mean, I think there's no better time to be a professional golfer because I believe sometimes as in any business, competition can be a very good thing for the players, especially now. There used to be really only up until a couple years back the only place that you could really make a lot of money compared to other professional sports was the PGA Tour or European Tour. You could, obviously not as much, but now having the Live Tour, having the PIF fund at the PGA Tour's disposal, I think you're going to see, more guys able to make the type of money that you see in other professional sports. And it's all about the PGA Tour. The players were all used to be the individual contractors, and now they're trying to get them to be basically co-owners. That's really what the bottom line was. So, as for me, I think I can't talk bad about anybody that went and took some guaranteed money. It looks like that was actually the decision that's going to pay off the best for those guys that actually, got some of the guaranteed money. And now it looks like, in the future, everybody that's playing professional golf is going to be, taking some of that money in one way or another. So, as far as I see it, I can't blame anybody for taking guaranteed money. I mean, hey, that's what we play the game for, to make money and to make as much as we can and to, enjoy playing. So, I think the bottom line for me is like, I'm excited for what's going to happen. Either way, I think it's going to be good for the professional game to have, more funds in the professional game in the future, and hopefully, more places to play around the world as well.
With the incoming of now the Live promotional schedule and the entry to try and get onto Live, have you heard any rumblings in your circles of guys who are thinking about signing up, thinking about the idea of joining a tour like Live?
I have some friends that were able to go out and play in the Q school for it, and I wasn't eligible for it. You have to have a certain played in a certain amount of different, whether it be Asian Tour, European Tour, PGA Tour events in the last year. But I have a good buddy, Nick Lindheim, who plays in the PGA Tour, and he was talking to Charlie Hoffman about it at the RSM Classic, and they were saying that basically, what Jay Monahan had to do with Yasser and the Saudi PIF fund was basically to save the tour, from being completely overtaken, because the amount of money that Yasser had at his disposal, you can't really fight against it. So it was almost like he had to do what he had to do to get the PGA Tour to survive. And for me, I didn't have the opportunity to go over there to play, but hopefully I could just take care of business and get onto the PGA Tour and see where it goes in the next couple of years.
Do you think? What are your thoughts on Jay Monahan?
I think he was put in a pretty tough position. I'll say that. It was probably a very stressful and difficult time for him to make these decisions. Basically, he's going to be the guy that's looked at as, the one that was in charge when all of this is going down. So, I don't think he would have chose to be having to make the decisions he had to. Obviously, it looks like now a lot of the PGA Tour players might have got kind of screwed for, being loyal to the tour. We'll see, what kind of decisions come out. But, at the end of the day, still, if you're a PGA Tour player, it's not a bad place to be. You're playing for a lot of money every week, and I guess it might have gotten a kind of a rotten end of the deal. Jay probably did what he thought he had to do to keep the PGA Tour from being completely overtaken. In my mind, he didn't want to be the guy that was the one that let the PGA Tour go under, and he had to do what he had to do to keep that from happening, even if it looks like, he kind of screwed some guys over in the process.
Do you think the changes that have gone on over the last 2 years to try and compete with LIV have hurt the tour, or have they actually brought a little bit more of a leg up for the players?
Well, it's definitely been a good place to play if you're a top ranked player and you're exempted the big elevated field events. This is going to be a good place to be. As far as getting there, it's definitely going to take. If you're a PGA Tour rookie, you got to play well to get into those elevated events and to be able to have a chance to do that. But I think it's actually brought some pretty good interest. They've elevated some of the events that were smaller events in the past, so that's really grown the local events. And combine that with the majors, it's they really are taking care of the guys that are out there doing and playing well.
Do you think this? I know this wasn't really on our kind of outline of what we wanted to talk about. I believe it was Steve, was it Jordan Spieth that said that the PIP might not be a thing next year?
Yeah. So Spieth was making the argument that the PIP should essentially be eliminated because of, while good in theory to try and compete with LIV to get more money in players' pockets, you've kind of seen almost an adverse effect, because where it's just obviously Tiger Woods, the most prominent name in all of golf, makes, I think it was like $15 million, and he played in 2 events, one of which he didn't even finish. So I think the argument there was that it's going to wind up going away or changing drastically in order to accommodate other players and not just the top 10 guys in the OWGR that we always hear of every single week.
So Mickey, the question is, as an up-and-comer or a guy who's just got back on the Korn Ferry and is trying to get his PGA Tour card coming up at final stage, would you given that you're not necessarily like the household name of a Tiger or a Rory or a Scheffler, how do you feel about the PIP potentially just going away? Is that something, do you think that money could be used toward else that would benefit the rest of the players? Or do you think just maybe can the whole idea altogether?
I thought it was a cool idea. I think it should reward the guys that, whether through their own personal like social media or, we got you guys with YouTube channels and all that, which is pretty cool. But like, if it's just going to be Tiger and Rory, I mean, I get that they play great golf and they're amazing players. They bring a lot of interest into it. If they could somehow maybe channel that money into taking care of some of the guys that do put out a lot of cool product or a lot of interest in their own platforms in any way. You see guys like putting out their own YouTube videos or whatever. It's cool. It's cool to see that. So I think you see now, like, with a little bit of more guaranteed money on the PGA Tour, which is, I think, in the step in the right direction. I think in the past, PGA Tour has been the one spot where you could maybe not make any money for the year compared to other sports. So the guaranteed money is definitely something that might be looked at in the future for the guys, even if you're not a big name, to be able to have some of that maybe allocated towards the rest of the field instead of just the top 10 guys, as you said.
If there was one thing on the PGA Tour, or even the Korn Ferry Tour for that matter, that you would change, what would it be?
I would say, they just started with the PGA Tour. Now there's the $500,000 loan they give you at the start of the year, which obviously is not on top of your earnings, but the Korn Ferry Tour purses have increased this year. But I think overall, just you look at the purses on the Latin Tour and the Canadian Tour, now called the Americas Tour, and the Korn Ferry Tour compared to a lot of the PGA Tour purses, it's not as much. Obviously, the Korn Ferry has increased this year, which is good, but I think maybe the expenses are very great when you're talking about playing for a whole year, traveling around and all that. And obviously, sometimes guys have some sponsors that can help them out, for equipment or other sponsors. But I'd say if you're playing a tour event, you're spending $4,000 or $5,000 a week, traveling around, paying for all your caddies and your hotels and all that. So if there could be something maybe like that takes care of the guys that are playing on these Americas tours or Latin tours, to help them be able to play and pay for the expenses that they need to, I think that would help out a lot of guys.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I think like one of the reasons I was such a big fan of LIV initially was because it was allowing players to be taken care of when their sport is the third most expensive sport to play. Golf is not a sport. There's nothing cheap about it. Traveling is incredibly difficult. Just out of curiosity, do you travel for most of back when your first go around on KFT, were you traveling by car mostly?
I did the ones I could, but a lot of it was flying, because you're going like Midwest, wherever. I mean, you could do maybe a couple rental cars from week to week, but that was pretty rare, to be honest. I was flying. They did a couple charter flights for us, but a lot of it was just flying and rental cars, which, I mean, those add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so flying, rental cars, your caddy fee at the end of the week. I mean, you make the cut. The caddy, not only does he have a base salary, I mean, it's golf is the sport where you cannot, but your caddy's at the end of the day, and so you have to figure out how to come up with whatever whatever a guy would end up paying their caddy, like $1,500 for a week or whatever. And that stuff adds up quick, especially if you're not making cuts. And I always was like, I feel like the tour could just fork over some money to look at the guys and, all right, look, this is gonna cover your expenses, and send, and do whatever you want with whatever's left over. Send it to your wife and kids back home, because I mean, there are guys who have a wife and 3 kids, and they're rookies, and they have a mortgage, and when you miss 5 cuts, they feel like shit, and that's a real life problem, because you're not providing for your family. You have to show for all your hard work. And so I maintain, I believe LIV was the best thing to happen for professional golf, just because I felt the PGA Tour was operating as a monopoly, and I felt that they could have been doing so much more to aid the players, which no one's tuning in to listen to Jay Monahan. People are tuning in to watch guys play golf. The players are the product, and they should be fairly compensated. That's just my opinion. But one last thing. All right, Liberty, the bowl game against Oregon. Mickey, how you feeling? Oregon's really fucking good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one. The strength of schedule Liberty played this year, it was not as highly ranked as Oregon. So, but you got to give them a chance to play against the big dogs. I mean, you got to throw them in there and see what they're made of. I mean, Oregon was close to being in the top 4 there. So this will be a good chance to really put them to the test. And, I just wish they were that good when I was there. I only went to like 2 games my whole collegiate career because they were losing to everybody. But that'll be fun. It'll be fun to see, man. I hope it's a good game no matter what. My coach, Michael Neff, is an Oregon guy, so we got a little connection there. He's a Portland guy, so he's a huge Ducks fan. So we have a little friendly rivalry there.
Yeah, Liberty is the 16-point underdog to Oregon. Their first New Year's Six Bowl ever, which is impressive. They'll take on Oregon in Glendale at the Fiesta Bowl. Mickey, thank you so much, Ben, for the time. It was amazing getting to know you, getting to learn about your story and your thoughts in the league. Best of luck next week. We'll certainly be pulling for you, and hopefully we can get you back on afterwards once you earn your PGA Tour card.
That sounds great. That's the plan. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Anytime, dude. You're always welcome.
Thanks,
we're really rooting for you. We'll get in the gym. I'll teach you a thing or two, and then you can teach me a thing or two on the golf course. Steven needs a lot of help. I'm going to find a video that I took of him this summer playing.
All right.
We'll have to get out. We'll get out there. You give me a little training session in the gym, a little bicep workout. We'll go out and play some golf.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this thing won't even be able to fit around your arms. But it's
there's so much more, Mickey, that you can teach Ben than he can teach you. So just leave it
I
there.
know this.
Hey.
I'm not an idiot.
As long as that number doesn't get bigger than the one around your thighs, then we're good. Okay.
Right now,
that's the true test.
All right, y'all. We're taking a short break. On the other side, mail call time. Don't go anywhere. Right here on the Get in the Hole podcast.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from T-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Welcome back in, folks, to the Get in the Hole podcast. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy here. Ben, what a great guest. Thank you for securing Mickey. A lot of really good opinions, a lot of really good thoughts. I really had a good time with that one. That was good.
Dude, he's awesome. I told you he's like so chill. Like, and he's so knowledgeable. Like,
well,
look, I consider myself to be pretty knowledgeable about the game of golf. He takes it to another level, and I don't know, just hearing him talk about it was actually very motivating as well. I mean, he's a fantastic player, like absolutely fantastic. So I'm so pissed that my internet sucks. It was driving me.
Yeah, if only your fucking Wi-Fi was a little bit better.
Fuck off, Steven. How's that sound, dick?
It is what it. Look, hey, you know what? It is what it is. It happens. I'm not gonna sock you for that one. But losing my popcorn left and right. Haven't had dinner yet, so I'm trying to fulfill myself.
I'm so happy you weren't eating dinner when we started the show. I was like, I swear to God, if he ends up eating dinner while
it's so uber unprofessional to be eating during an interview. So I was like trying to like sneak a piece here and there.
We're not like the most professional podcast.
We're a little more laid back than that.
We're just like a couple of schmucks. That's really what we are. Like, it's kind of.
Speak for yourself. I have a master's degree in journalism.
Well, a couple, both of us. I was taking myself into consideration.
No, I know. I'm just saying that you, my friend, are the face of the show, the pro golfer doing the golf podcast. I'm the guy with the master's degree in journalism who's trying to look good for myself.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, hey, I bring the good looks, and I bring the good looks, you bring the credibility, and you bring I don't know.
My grandpa said it the best when I had my radio show starting my junior year of college.
You have face for radio.
Fuck yeah. Let's get into some mail time. We have a few topics we'll discuss quickly. We lead off though with Tiger Woods this past weekend at the Hero World Challenge. What else is new? The fourth straight week of talking about fucking Tiger Woods. But I mean, hey, you know what? I mean, we kind of have to. Did Tiger prove anything to you this week?
No. Not really. Like, he hits it far. Yay. That's not going to be the case because they're rolling the ball back. Like, I mean, he looks jacked for sure. I mean, he's definitely been hitting the weight room. But no, he didn't really prove anything at all to me this week. Other than that, he still hits it far. Everybody hits it far now, so no.
I'm going to take the other end of the spectrum here. I think Tiger actually did prove one really important thing this week. And Dan Rappaport was talking about it the whole entire week. He said that nothing matters with how Tiger plays I don't care how far he drives it. All I care about is, can he walk up 18 on Sunday? And he did it, and he did it well. In his post-round interview on Sunday, he said that he has literally no leg soreness, no fatigue. Obviously, it's an uphill battle for him to begin with to keep up with the younger guys at his older age in his mid-40s. But the fact that he was able to get over a full 4 rounds of golf, get out of it, and say, you know what, I feel actually really good. Albeit profusely sweating in the post-round interview, still said that I think 1 tournament a month is very doable. It's very sustainable. It's something that he thinks is more than possible for him to do. So I think he actually proved the most important thing, and it's really his health. To be able to get back out and not have the kind of fatigue that we saw him have at Augusta 12 months ago is a total 180 from what I thought would actually have occurred. I thought a lot of his comeback was kind of a crapshoot. I think this kind of did solidify, at least for the short term, that he is in fact able to at least hang once a month.
Look, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that he proved. I'm not going to say that he proved anything to me. And the reason why was because an event, it was an exhibition on not really the most difficult course to walk in good weather. I want to see him do this 3 or 4 times. That's
look, at the end of the day, he's still
no, stop it. I'm talking. That's like saying, oh my gosh, Derrick Rose has had 5 knee surgeries, but he played opening night and he played 35 minutes. Yeah, is he going to play 35 minutes every single night? This is obviously back in the day when he was the Derrick. He couldn't, and so it's 1 tournament. The stakes weren't high. Let's see how it is. Let me look at my, which doesn't have a date on it, and the time is wrong. Give me months, and I'll see if he's proven anything to me.
I agree with you in that regard. That obviously you want to see it multiple times, but at the very least, based on what we've seen in the 6 days of golf that he played all of last year, he does look 10 times better, and you can see it as he walks around. While there is a bit of a struggle, there is soreness involved. He's at least battling through it. And I think the important part is that his health is relatively stable. And at the end of the day, spends more time with his doctor, spends more time in treatment. I think the more and more he goes through this and the more he can get his body back into shape, he could very well be the same as he was, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. Certainly not the skill level, I don't think. But at least the health and ability to be able to get around the golf course, maneuver, and do his thing. I think that's really the most important part here. We're not expecting him to be a tour winner again. But if his health can sustain, he can be like every other 45-year-old walking the golf course.
That's the thing. His health isn't going to sustain. And I don't mean to say this like being a negative Nancy or anything, but this is who he is. He's old, often injured, yet still very talented, and at 45, that's not going to change. You don't all of a sudden just less injured at 45. This guy has had injury after injury after injury, and he's still dealing with soreness. He's dealing with soreness right now after playing an event that really is not taxing to play. Mentally, physically, it's not. I've played that golf course. It's not a hard golf course to walk at all. So to think that he's all of a sudden going to be able to do what he did 3 or 4 years ago, it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And hey, prove me wrong, but this is it. This is how it is. In my opinion, he's going to end up playing like 6 official events in the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's going to end up doing. It's not going to be all of a sudden he plays 22 events like in 2000, whatever he was playing, like in 2006 or 2007 when he was relatively healthy. I mean, this guy has had surgeries dating back like 2006 or 7. So yeah, no, I'm not holding my breath. Give me 2 months, but I don't see it. I don't.
Like I said, leveraging expectations. The guy 24 months ago almost had his legs amputated. The fact that he could walk for 4 straight days, I think, at least for me, is quite impressive. Colin Morikawa on Sunday was assessed a 2-stroke penalty for what was allegedly his caddy leveraging some sort of pre-round meter or some sort of green reading. He had written down in his book the number, which was illegal according to PGA Tour rules. Was assessed a 2-stroke penalty after it turns out Matt Fitzpatrick actually reported him to the rules official for the infraction. Do you think the call was BS? And what's your opinion with the green reading books and the materials? I know we've talked at length about this, but educate the crowd. What is it about these green reading books and the things that are illegal and not illegal and the nuances of it that are just does it make Colin's case BS?
Well, unfortunately, if you're going by like the letter of the law, what he was penalized for is 100% a penalty. Now, do I think it's stupid to have that rule in place? Abso-fucking-lutely it is. Like, I think it is the best rule ever. We've been going, I believe that there's been several changes the past probably 3, 4, 5 years regarding his, sorry, Mickey just texted me and I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
There's been multiple changes with the green reading materials that have been in place for years.
Okay. Yeah, there's been multiple changes with the green reading material dating back to the past 3 years. What's happening on Korn Ferry, and this is just what I was told from a source, guys would basically have like computer, like what is it, like 8 by 12 or whatever size pages, like, you know, your typical size like paper. They had one page on that size sheet of paper at times. And the whole idea was because it was able to give them an up close look at the green, and these greens would essentially, and I have a book right here that I can show you that actually I didn't end up playing this course, but essentially, I'm sorry to our non-viewing podcasters or listeners that you can't see this. Essentially, right here, this top chart where my pinky finger is, that's showing you green, which is normal, every 5 paces into the green, which is normal, but it's also giving you the percentage of slope along with the direction of the slope. And so what that is, you guys have seen guys do aim point, you know, and like you see a guy do like, okay, it's like, 2% slope. Well, right here, I'm just going to go to a random hole. Back right portion of the screen in one area, it's 3.8% slope. So you round up to 4. Okay, so right here, yeah, it's going to be 4% of slope this way because you put down a little bit more breaks. We're going to play it right there. Basically, guys were just looking at putts, looking at their book, and just making putts. And the whole idea, and I spoke about this earlier in the episode, was people in the game of golf who are more traditionalists felt that it was taking away the skill and the art of putting. Really what it was, because as long as you started online, you're going to make the putt. As long as well, online in good speed, you get what I'm saying. Where now they're like, well, no, like you can't have. Then I believe it was you can't have images that big, and because of that, guys ended up not really knowing the rules. So you saw guys getting DQ'd left and right. Now, a book like this by Strakaline, like just a conventional Strakaline book, is not allowed at the age of Korn Ferry Tour School on the PGA Tour. I don't know about the European Tour. I assume it's probably the same thing. Now, mini tours and up through up to second stage Q school, they don't necessarily care because it's actually, you can't police it. You don't have enough manpower to police, 60 player fields. It's just not possible. But that's really where the rule stems from. And they went in depth. It's not only, you can't have a book like this. If you have a yardage book, it has to be tour issued if you're playing a tour event. It has to fit certain measurement parameters. If you use levels, there's a thing for aim point because it tells you the slope. Guys really take levels and they would put them on greens. And it would tell them literally down to like the decimal percentage point, 2.2% of slope, and they would write it down. That's no longer allowed as well because it's basically the same idea as having this. Now, you can use that on a putting green, a practice putting green. That is allowed because that's a practice area and you can do whatever you want. But if you transfer that information into your yardage book, that's what makes it, in that specific instance, that's what happened. I know I just rambled for probably 5 minutes. I really hope that was clear, but there's just a lot of moving stuff going on. And that's one of the reasons, like when I went to Q school this year, playing in state opens this summer, I mean, Strakaline or Putt View, they're essentially the same. Strakaline should actually sponsor us. They really should because they have the best yardage book ever, in my opinion. But I would always approach rules officials prior to the event, double checking that I could use these books because I didn't want to show up, use it on on the third hole, have an official be like, haha, disqualified, because that's what they'll do a lot of times. One of my good friend, Austin Truslow, he played in the U.S. Open this summer at LACC. And John Weir, who's our mentor, he caddied for Austin. The official went up to him and said, hey, John, just so you know, this is during a practice round, okay? A practice round. If we see you use a level on the course, you will be disqualified. They were going around warning every single group during the practice round.
Yeah.
So No, I think it's a stupid rule, but it's what the rule is, and you got to abide by the rules. So, yeah.
I think the funniest part in all of this is the fact that Matt Fitzpatrick, in a charity golf event on the final day, said, you know what? I'm going to do this. Like, bro, give me a freaking break. That's the most I don't even want to like say it for the French that I'd be putting on this word, but like that's the most like bitch shit ever. Like, come on.
To be fair,
it's a fucking charity event. I totally understand like keeping true to the rules of the game, but you're not getting any points. You're not getting any sort of leverage in this. The only difference is you're making money. But guess what? You've already made $40 million in your career. Who cares?
Well, here's the thing. And look, I've been guilty of this before. Like, playing with, I've with guys who have definitely taken like bad drops, but it's like they're so far out of it. It's like, who really gives a shit? I remember, like I've been guilty of it too. I mean, everybody has. I mean, the whole idea is you have to protect the field. And to be honest, like there are just certain times because you're so obsessed with your own shit, that you're just like, I don't have time for this. Like I remember I played a Monday qualifier. You're going to laugh. It might be funny. And I know we're so far over, but this is worth it. So I was playing a Monday qualifier over in Tampa back in April. And I'm playing with this kid who had a Korn Ferry Tour card this past year. And I was like, I just can't see how this guy got on Korn Ferry. He's not that good. He goes for the second hole, which for us was hole 11. He goes for hole 11, which for us was hole in 2. Hitting driver off the deck like 285 into the wind. Okay. He's never going to get it there. Duck hooks it, just dead left.
And he just goes and just walks ahead. He's well past the hazard. Take a drop if you can't find it. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be interesting. You get 3 minutes to look for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
My other playing competitor and I, along with my caddy, were helping this kid look for his ball. We looked for over 3 minutes. Nothing. We didn't find anything. We walked. This kid suddenly finds his ball when we're 50 yards ahead of him approaching the green. And I'm just like, I mean, really? And I wasn't going to sit there. I wasn't going to sit there and try to check him on because I didn't have any proof, even though he was definitely over the 3 minute mark. 2, I just sat there. I was like, yeah, you're not very good. So I'm just not going to make a big stink out of it. And then later on that during that 9, he hits one in the water and he drops like next to the green. And I'm just like, bro, the way the wind was, it's a left to right wind and your ball went in the water. You would have had to hook the absolute shit out of that ball to get it to cross up there. I mean, the ball went in like 80 yards back there. And I didn't say anything because I was like, again, he's not getting in. Yeah. And it's a money qualifier. If he shoots 65, worst case. But I understand both sides where it's just like, in like if someone guy's like not going to make any money, and they're just out of it, it's like, just whatever. Let's just like keep this thing going. Even when there's like, you can't really prove anything. In this instance, though, because there's like, I guess, quantifiable data that he did do something, and it is necessary, even though it sucks. I will fully admit that's the thing. Like, in my instance, it's not like I had a stopwatch and I was like, hey, 3 minutes is up. Get back there, So when it becomes quantifiable, you kind of have to do it, because if you don't, then people think, oh, this guy didn't do what he was supposed to do. He wasn't protecting the field, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Whatever. That was a long answer. I apologize.
You're all good. Minimal thing. I don't think anybody would have noticed it to begin with. And at the end of the day, it's for charity, so who cares? Final thing here. Will the PGA Tour hit their firm deadline with the PIF? Jay Monahan said that they are hoping the firm deadline to reach an agreement for framework is December 31st. Are already 4 days into the month, and you and I both know Jay Monahan is taking his holiday vacation when he can. Any shot they hit this firm deadline, quote unquote?
Do we say December 31st? Is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
No way.
No, absolutely. This was the dumbest question that I wrote down, because we're all like, no, absolutely not. And even if they did,
it's not. No, it's not that it's not a dumb question. It's a very necessary question, because it speaks to the. See, here's the thing. Like, I don't really care like if I shit on Jay Monahan. I just don't, because I just like, when I get on tour, what's he gonna do? Suspend me for saying he's just like a jackass? Like, no, like, it's freedom of speech, dude. Like, you suck at your job, and this just shows he sucks at his job, because we have zero faith that he can accomplish anything. Isn't our government still looking into this merger, by the way?
They haven't even touched it yet.
Yeah. So with how slow everything moves with our legal system, it's never going to happen. There's no way. And even if anything did happen, which it won't, but if it did, the government would be like, no, sorry, we have like other issues that we have to tend to first, but no, you're not doing anything getting involved, like, not until we sign off on it.
Now, granted, they could create a framework, go through all the process to kind of force the government to look into it, because of course they're looking at it from a antitrust standpoint. It also could very well happen that they get a secondary investor, in which case it kind of flies out the window. But the fact of the matter still is that the idea to close this by the end of the month, I think, is a ludicrous idea, considering this agreement came out 3 months ago, and we haven't this came out during the Open, and we haven't come to a decision on the matter. So I don't think this is going to get closed out anytime soon, like in any sort of in any realm. It's just not happening.
No, it's not.
Final thing here before we hit the road. The PNC Championship this weekend. Want to do a quick little draft style with you since there really is no betting lines for this event. We're going to just jump kind of right into the betting here. We'll do a 3-team draft. Get our team's lowest score wins for the week. You get bragging rights. It's beer money time, brought to you by our friends at Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's top light beer. The less calories than a Bud Light and absolutely incredible. Check them out. KenwoodBeer.com. Use the Kenny tracker to find where you can get your hands on some ice cold Kennys. We'll just kind of go in order here. I will give you the first overall pick. 3 teams. We'll draft them quick and we'll hit the road. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay. And these are the best scores. Is that to be in a specific order?
No, you're just gonna like we're literally just gonna pick 3 and just draft them.
Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. Tiger Woods, Charlie Woods, obviously. I mean,
all right. Give me first round pick. I'll take Vijay and Cass Singh, the current champions.
okay. Well, I'll go with Annika Sorenstam and Will McGee.
Give me the dailies.
I like that one.
Sponsored by Hooters.
I'm gonna go. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I want to go Justin Thomas and Mike Thomas, but I feel like there's potential for beef because didn't Justin fire him, his own dad? I don't know.
He did in fact fire his own dad.
There's potential for beef in that one. I'm gonna go with Steve Stricker and Izzy Stricker.
That was actually going to be my pick. They're new to the field. I think Izzy's a college golfer. I think, but he's very good.
I don't know how many kids he has. He has one girl. He has one daughter who plays professionally, and she's very good.
Yeah, Izzy.
Oh, that's her. Okay, yeah. No, she's really good.
She's nasty. I think she graduated from college, right? No, yeah. No, she literally just won she's going into college. I believe she just won the She in college? I'm drawing a blank. She might be in college now. She won the Wisconsin State like singles title last year. Like she's nasty at golf.
Oh damn.
All right,
crazy.
so then I gotta pick somebody else. Yeah, I don't want to take the Thomases. You know what? I'll take my my wannabe wife. I'll take Nelly Korda and her dad.
Nelly Korda's your wannabe wife?
She's beautiful. My golf women crushes are Nelly Korda and Brooke Henderson. Easily, hands down.
My golf women crushes are Paige Spirant, Natalie Galba.
Although I got to say, Brooke's got to lose the capris. The 3/4 pants, in my opinion, aren't a look.
Wait, what happened?
Brooke Henderson wears 3/4 pants. I don't like them. They're not a look. They're a look for old 60 single 60-year-old single ladies. But that's my own opinion. Final thoughts, Ben, before we go. I think we might have lost Ben. I think we did. Folks, thank you for joining us this week on the Get the Hole podcast. Again, a huge shout out to Mickey DeMorat for joining us this week. Great story. Check him out as he goes for his PGA Tour card in Q School final this week at TBC Sawgrass. Has already. His KFT card is looking to do even more. For Ben Pirro and Stephen McAvoy, thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy the golf this week. We'll see y'all next week. Yes, Ben.
Wait. What did you just say? Because I completely my internet is awful.
Yeah, I thought I totally lost you. I was signing out because we finished our draft and we're going.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So we finished the draft. Wait, who did you end up picking? Oh yeah. I mean, I kind of like the 3/4 pants. I mean, if you're hot, you're hot. You can rock them. That's totally fine. But Thank you again to Mickey for hopping on the show. My good friend. He's a stud. He's the man. He's going to go kick some ass in third stage. Really would love to have him on again. I think he just knocked out of the park. Steve did a phenomenal job. We only had a couple awkward silences. That's good. And yeah, Steve's just chowing down on popcorn. He's ready for dinner, and I'm ready for bed. So for that being said, I'm Ben Pirro. That is Stephen McAvoy. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening and watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow both of us and KB on the socials. Please follow Underground Sports social medias. Please follow the Get in the Hole podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And also, like, on TikTok and everything. Follow us everywhere, okay? Follow us everywhere. It allows us to do what we want to do, and we greatly appreciate you all as followers. Stephen looks really pissed right now and confused. So that being said, I'm done. Good night, everyone.
For PGA Tour hopeful Stephen McAvoy and for host Ben Pirro, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!